Purport by Srila Prabhupada. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the Vedic literatures describe the incarnation of Lord Varaha or boar in two different devastations, namely the Chakshusha devastation and the Swayambhuva devastation. This particular appearance of the boar incarnation actually took place in the Swayambhuva devastation, when all planets other than the higher ones, Jana, Mahar and Satya, merged in the water of devastation. This particular incarnation of the boar was seen by the inhabitants of the planets mentioned above. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti suggests that the sage Maitreya amalgamated both the boar incarnations in different devastations and summarized them in his description to Vidura. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Vidura is hearing the description of the boar incarnation, Lord Varaha's incarnation from whom? Maitreya Rishi. So, Maitreya Rishi is telling Lord Varaha has dived into the Garbhodaka ocean. He went to the bottom without any difficulty and he very easily lifted the earth on his tusks and got it out of the water. Thus he appeared very splendid, samruruche. This is a speciality about the Lord. He appears in a form which may not be otherwise very beautiful to look at. A boar is not very pleasing to look at. After all, it's a hog. But the Lord's form is extraordinarily beautiful in any incarnation. There are several reasons why the form of the Lord is always beautiful. One is that the Lord's form is always illuminated by the Brahma Jyoti. He is always with his Brahman effulgence. Whereas others who may appear very bright, their effulgence is limited and is relative. Just like Indra, amidst the inhabitants of Indraloka, he appears very effulgent, very bright. Or when Indra comes to the earth, Mahabharata, we were hearing the description yesterday, that Indra appeared, Kubera appeared, he appears very effulgent. But their effulgence is limited and relative. Indra's effulgence in front of Brahma appears very insignificant. Brahma's effulgence will shine forth much more brightly than Indra's effulgence, bodily effulgence. So, like that, everybody's effulgence is relative and limited. Whereas the Lord's effulgence is always unlimited. Always unlimited. So that is one reason for the Lord's beauty. In any form He may appear, any incarnation. He is always supremely beautiful. The form is supremely beautiful, splendid. He appeared very splendid. Then His tusks were glowing, shining, unusually very, very bright. And He is lifting the earth planet, which is very, very big. So, He is doing something very, very extraordinary, and at the same time, His appearance, for the devotees at least, it is not fearsome. For the devotees, it's not fearsome. For the demons, because they always deny God, within their heart, they have fear of God. Though externally they may say, I don't care for God, I'm not afraid of God. But in their heart, always there is fear of God. Because when they come face to face with God, then they get some idea, oh, God is not what I thought. Simply some imaginary person, or some ordinary person, or some person who can be subdued by, greater power. This relative conception of God is the ignorance of most people in the material world. They think God means somebody relative. But Bhagavatam establishes, Prabhupada says in the preface to the Bhagavatam, there is a distinction made in the Bhagavatam between the conception of God and the conception of absolute truth. Carefully try to understand what is the difference. Conception of God indicates a controller. And controllers, there are many controllers in this world. One is relatively less or more powerful than the other. So, the conception of God is that He is very, very powerful controller. Now, how powerful? Very difficult to estimate. Because there are so many controllers with relatively less or more power of control. So you can't estimate. Sometimes it seems like Ganesha is very powerful. But then, in front of Shiva's power, Ganesha's power is not as great. Shiva is much, 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 much more powerful than Ganesha. So then people get confused. Oh, is Ganesha God or Shiva God? So some will say both are God. Some will say actually God doesn't have a form. Sometimes he takes the form of Shiva. Sometimes he takes the form of Ganesha. Sometimes he assumes the form of Durga. God is actually formless. Some Brahman, something like that. Or sometimes they think ultimately God means supreme power, and that supreme power is Durga. So all kinds of wrong understanding or limited understanding of God leads to relative conception. It's a relative conception of God. Whereas the absolute conception is God means ultimately absolute truth. Absolute truth means not relative. Absolute means not relative. That means God is unlimitedly powerful, unlimitedly strong, unlimitedly beautiful, unlimitedly knowledgeable, unlimitedly famous. Everything about God is unlimited. So he is simply called unlimited, Ananta. Unlimited. One meaning of the word Ananta is unlimited. Simply called Ananta. Unlimited. So this absolute conception of God, or of the supreme, absolute conception. So unlimited person. So how unlimited person can be understood? Person means we think in terms of limited form, or limited, at least limited form. Person means limited form, not unlimited form. So God is unlimited person means he has unlimited form. So how can a person be existing with unlimited form? So that is the challenge for the Mayavadis, for the atheists, for the materialists, for the impersonalists, all categories of non-devotees. It's a challenge. So they say, actually, person means something limited, and God is unlimited. So therefore, God is impersonal. Sometimes he assumes a form, but that form is not the real form of God. It's some imaginary form, or some temporary form, or some form manifested under material conditions. So many explanations like this the Mayavadis have. But God never manifests any form in material condition. Even if God appears to be in a limited form, but actually he is unlimited. His form is unlimited. Vamana incarnation, he appeared as a small dwarf. But when required, he expanded his form. How much did he expand? Beyond anyone's imagination. Because sometimes demons also, to trick the demigods, they appear like a small person or ordinary person, but suddenly they will display their power by expanding themselves. By expanding themselves. So how much can they expand? It's always limited how much they can expand. They cannot expand unlimitedly. Only the Supreme Lord, Krishna or Vishnu or Narayana, can expand unlimitedly. So as Trivikrama, he expanded unlimitedly. Simply by extending his toe, foot, he pierced the 7 coverings of the universe. 7 coverings of the universe he pierced simply by extending his right foot, stretching his right foot. So these are some of the extraordinary pastimes of the Supreme Lord which help us understand what is the meaning of unlimited. Otherwise we don't understand what is unlimited. Similarly here, Lord Bore is described as splendid, unlimitedly beautiful. Unlimitedly beautiful. Then here, the description is also given, his anger glowing like Sudarshana wheel. Sunabha Sandipita Tivra Manyu. The Sudarshana wheel, normally when Lord Narayana or Krishna are holding it, it doesn't appear to be like a glowing, big, huge fire. No. But when the Lord wants to use it, then the real brightness of the fire of Sudarshana, that is unbearable for anybody in this entire creation. It is very, very fiery. So, the Lord becomes angry means his anger is like glowing like the Sudarshana Chakra. That is the only comparison that can be made. Sudarshana Chakra is also unlimitedly bright, unlimitedly fiery. Similarly, Lord's anger also. Narsimha also, you remember the description? He was very, very angry against Hiranyakashipu. Why? Because Hiranyakashipu tortured his devotee. So Lord became very angry. How angry? That none of the Devatas had the courage to go near him even to pacify his anger. They were afraid. Except Prahlad. Everybody else was afraid. So, Lord's anger also is transcendental in this sense. It's not that he has lost his control, therefore he's become angry. It's not a result of Rajoguna. Kama esha, Krodha esha, Rajoguna samudbhavaha. So, it's not due to Rajoguna. It is transcendental anger because the Lord has feelings, transcendental feelings, and those feelings are expressed in relationship with his devotees. He does not tolerate if his devotee is harmed or devotee is disturbed by some asura or non-devotee. He does not tolerate. He becomes very angry. So, in this instance, it is described Lord Varaha became angry against Hiranyaksha, demon Hiranyaksha. And although this Hiranyaksha tried to fight with Lord Varaha, still Lord Varaha immediately killed this Hiranyaksha with a club. Just struck the form of Hiranyaksha and killed him immediately. So details will be given later, but here, how suddenly Hiranyaksha is appearing. So far the description has been that some sages of the upper planets, they are all wondering how the earth can be rescued for Swayambhuva Manu to do his work of generating the population. And then suddenly description is being given about Hiranyaksha demon. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that Maitreya, while narrating to Vidura, he is combining description of two different Varaha incarnations who appeared in two different devastations, two different Manvantaras. So the first Manvantara is called Swayambhuva Manvantara. And Chakshusha Manvantara is which Manvantara? Sixth Manvantara. We are in the seventh Manvantara. What is the seventh Manvantara called? Vaivasvata Manvantara. Based on the name of the Manu, the Manvantara also gets its name. So Vivaswan's son, Vaivasvata Manu. Vaivasvata means the son of Vivaswan, sun god. So he is ruling as the Manu. So therefore this Manvantara is called Vaivasvata Manvantara. Similarly, Chakshusha Manvantara, sixth Manvantara, the previous Manvantara to the present Manvantara. In that Manvantara, when there was devastation, again the earth submerged in the bottom of the Garbhodaka ocean. So whenever there is devastation, the planets get submerged in water. But generally the planets don't slip away from their orbit. They don't slip away from their orbit. It's time up. Planets don't slip away from their orbit. Sometimes the planet may slip away from the orbit. Like Swayambhuva Manvantara, the earth slipped away from its orbit, and when the water of devastation recedes, the earth alone is not in its position. So then the earth has gone to the bottom. So then the earth has to be rescued. So Lord Varaha has appeared to rescue the earth. So Swayambhuva Manvantara, the description is the sages, the saintly persons of the upper three planets which are not submerged, they are observing, they are having darshan of Lord Varaha. And they saw how he rescued the earth. But Chakshusha Manvantara devastation, who is present? Not the sages. It's Hiranyaksha who is present there. Because he is the one who actually, using his strength, he pushed this earth out of its orbit during the devastation. Just playing. It is described, later on in 7th canto it will be described. No, not 7th canto, here itself I think. That playfully he would go and smash mountains with his fist. Simply destroy. No reason at all. He was so very strong. So, playfully, simply, no reason at all, unnecessarily, he pushed the earth out of the orbit. So the earth, huge body. You see how it is floating in the atmosphere. How is it floating? It is because there is an arrangement. What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? How do the planets float? Gama vishyacha bhutani dharayami aham. 15th chapter, 13th verse. 13th or 14th? 13th verse. 13th. Huh? 13th verse. Read the verse. Gama Vishyachabhut. Pushnami Chaushadi Sarva Somo Bhutva Rasatmaka. Translation. I enter into each planet and by my energy they stay in the orbit. See, this is the way they stay in the orbit. Krishna's arrangement. In the 10th chapter, Krishna says he enters into everything. So he enters into planet also. What does he enter as? Paramatma. Vishtabhyaham idam kritsnam. Vishtabhya means I enter. Idam kritsnam means into everything that is created. Ekamshena sthito jagat. 10th chapter, last verse. Anyway. So, because Krishna enters as Paramatma, these planets are staying in their orbit. They're floating in the air. But somebody wants to disturb or create some disturbance, Krishna allows. Krishna allows. So he allowed Hiranyaksha to push this earth out of its orbit during the devastation. Then the earth has to be rescued because it's fallen into the Garbhodaka ocean. So then the Lord appeared again as Varaha. So it is described in the beginning of the creation, that is, in the beginning of day of Brahma, Swayambhuva, Manvantara, he appeared as Shweta Varaha. Therefore, the name of this day of Brahma, or Kalpa, is called Shweta Varaha Kalpa. So, in the Chakshusha Manvantara devastation, he appeared as red boar incarnation, not white. Swayambhuva Manvantara is white boar. And Chakshusha Manvantara in devastation, at that time, he appeared as red boar. So, difference in color, complexion. And during the Swayambhuva Manvantara, he was being seen by the great saintly persons, the demigods headed by Brahma. They were all singing his glories. That will be given in the next few verses. The wonderful glorification by the saintly persons. But during the time of Chakshusha devastation, who was observing? Hiranyaksha, who was seeing the fun. Let me see now what happens. So suddenly he is seeing Lord Varaha is appearing and taking out the earth. So then he challenged, you cannot take the earth without fighting with me. So Lord accepted the challenge. And using his club, the Lord simply killed this Hiranyaksha immediately. He immediately killed the demon Hiranyaksha, although that demon tried to fight with the Lord. So, the two Varahas are being described here in this verse alone. Two Varahas are being described, two incarnations. And Jiva Goswami is telling there are two different devastations. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is telling that Maitreya combined both the both incarnation descriptions. The difference in the description here. Suddenly, Lord is fighting against Hiranyaksha and killing him. So suddenly now, Vidura, in the next chapter beginning, he will say, oh, kindly tell me something about Lord incarnating for the sake of this, killing this Hiranyaksha. How Hiranyaksha developed enmity with the Lord. Who is this Hiranyaksha? So then that leads to the other topics. Pregnancy of Diti in the evening, that the next chapter. So, it is not a chronological description. This happened, then this happened, then this happened. No. Unlike the Mahabharata and the Ramayana and all that. Unlike the Itihasas. Here, the important thing is the inquiries. by the devotees. And those inquiries are being answered. As per the question, the answer is being given. So the descriptions are not chronological. So I'll stop here. Rantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.